All right. Bryan, welcome.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. You
Can you
may
hear me
proceed
okay?
with your presentation.
Yep. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, yes.
Okay, good. Very good. Well, thank you for having me. Jamie and I have been back and forth on some emails, and obviously this is wrapping up my first year here at Lebanon County Christian Ministries, and this would be looking for approval of the agreement for the state food purchasing program, which you should have a copy of. Just needs the final execution by the county commissioners. And I'll just do a quick update on what we're doing over here at LCCM. But real quick on the food purchasing agreement, we were funded with the 5/12 budget, actually had a full year's worth of funding. Food banks were across the Commonwealth. So the amount for us would be $169,572.91, which is just level with last year's funding. Of that $169,500, $13,565 will be retained for administrative expenses, and $9,586 will be is allocated for capital purchases. So it's pretty standard moving into this agreement. With approval of this, we'll wrap all the final documentation up and get it up to the state if approved. Just real quick background on where we're at with kind of COVID operations and some things that have changed. We had been given a waiver by the Department of Agriculture for our free new meal. As you should be aware, it has been a congregate setting where individuals were required to receive the food, partake of the food, and not take food off of premise of the new meal. With everything that's going on, we've been doing that in the to-go kind of grab-and-go format. We've seen a pretty significant increase in the numbers that have been attending the new meal. We had been averaging about 100 guests a day. We're now at about 230 to 240 with yesterday. We were at 272 guests. So we're seeing a significant increase there. With that said, we have been blessed with a bit of increase, or I should say a bonus of some CARES COVID funding, specifically for the food purchasing, and it is only for food. So we have received an additional $143,803, $11,500 of that retained for administrative expenses. We were able to date that back to March of 2020. So we were able to capture some overspend in our last fiscal year. And then that must be spent by December 31st of this year. And a separate audit will take place for those dollars. And I can tell you that what we are observing right now, particularly with the amount of food going out through the new meal, we will certainly spend that and work with our partners in the community to ensure that their needs are being met as well. Our food bank, food pantry distribution numbers have actually been down a bit. We believe that there's been some substantial state funding that has gone in the form of the SNAP benefits. Obviously, some unemployment stuff has allowed folks to receive some paychecks. We do anticipate that there's a possibility that we'll see an increase in that as some of the benefits of the CARES funding COVID-related dollars go away. A couple things I just wanted to highlight as we went through this last year is just partnerships and ways that we are kind of rethinking some of our food distribution. We are actively working with other agencies in our community to ensure that their needs are being met and that we're a partner in providing food and making sure we're addressing food insecurity throughout the entire county. We've really bolstered our relationship with the Caring Cupboard in Palmyra. We've done some partnerships with Joy Pantry to ensure that their needs were being met on the northern side. And then On Fire Youth Ministries, who's really stepped up to the plate in the Myerstown area through the COVID times and supporting the folks on the eastern end through that. One additional thing was that really early on in the COVID-19 time, Elko School District had not initially been approved to provide free meals to all of the students. There was restrictions to free and reduced lunches. And we were able to acquire and do some logistics work to get items down to the Elko School District, so they were able to just provide food to kiddos at no cost, and until they were able to get the waivers and exemptions through the federal government. But that all got wrapped up, and we just continue now to focus on our relationship with On Fire Youth Ministries. The last piece is Central PA Foodbank. We've really solidified a relationship there and are working closely with them to both from a bulk purchasing and some of the other programs that we do with our emergency food assistance program. Some of the produce that we're getting really been bolstering that relationship, as well as when we have a surplus, backhauling items up to Central PA Food Bank. And again, just really looking at this collaboratively and how we can address our community's needs. And the last thing I'll say is just from a community needs, I think is the next big step for us. And we've talked to Central PA Food Bank about how we can partner with them to really get some boots on the ground. And I think we continue to struggle as a community to understand the actual needs that exist within the community as far as food insecurity. And one of those challenges is that there's many, many organizations that do provide some level of a pantry or a food assistance. And sometimes that happens in a non-orchestrated, non-collaborative approach. And we really want to focus this next year on all those individuals that stood up and stepped up to the plate during COVID and bring them to the table to have open dialogue and discussion so that we can really understand what our community's needs are so that we can address them in a more collaborative and better way. Because we think that we have the right leadership and the right people to do that. So we're excited about where the future is going. I think if I just had, one thing to say is that, individuals that find themselves with a food insecurity, we're here for them at LCCM, at Joy Pantry, at the Caring Cupboard, and other organizations throughout the community. So, that's what we're here for. We look forward to supporting folks from a food piece. We did track and know that we served 70 families specifically as a result of job loss or a negative impact on income secondary to COVID. So we did track that through. Most of those came within the first 21 to 28 days post what I call ground zero of COVID-19, that March 13th date. So real quick, 354,051 pounds of food were distributed out of our facility in fiscal year 1920. So that's another solid year of food distribution. So happy for any questions. Otherwise, just looking for approval on the state food purchasing program agreement, and then Jamie will run from there. John.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yep, go ahead.
Okay. Bryan, the one statistic that you threw out there in your extensive report, which is greatly appreciated, was that the number of people receiving new meals went from 100 to 272. Can you tell me, were 272 people there to pick up meals, or is one person picking up meals for others?
Yeah, so we're in different times. So with the congregate setting, everybody has to obviously be here because they come and get the food. What we've done is we do not have 272 people going through. We mandate or require or attempt to regulate that we get eyes on individuals initially. What we're doing is our volunteers are preparing the food and my staff are actually doing the distribution, just as a measure of protection for our volunteers that are coming in. Our staff, very proud to say that they take the distribution very seriously, and they also get to know the individuals. So once they get eyes on an individual, they are, so if they have we have a family of 6 that'll come, they'll get eyes on those 6. And then once they become comfortable with that, they will facilitate one person picking up to support that. We also know that there's some folks that have some mobility issues. No doubt, we believe that substantially impacting our increase is sort of the flexibility of the grab-and-go meal setting, which is really not what the new meal was designed around. But during this time, it's one thing we want to make sure is people are getting a good caloric intake meal at lunchtime.
Thank you. I was curious, so you've satisfied that curiosity. Thank you.
You bet.
We're looking for a motion to approve the state food purchase program agreement.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion, a second, and Jamie?
You're on mute.
Unmute, please.
I'll wait for your motion. It's a comment. I'll wait.
Oh, okay. It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. So ordered. You have your agreement, Bryan.
Thanks.
If I may, I just want to say, I think that mention of the Central PA Foodbank agreement, or, well, working together, you know, the collaboration is really notable and important. I think for a time they were feeling a bit disconnected, but still, you know, have a presence or some sort of footprint in Lebanon County. And so I commend you for however you reached out or however that happened. So that's great.
Thanks, Jamie.
All good. All right. Bryan, continue your good work in our county, and with that, we'll bid you adieu.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Brian.